I was pretty much taking every drug but heroin, really. Just kept trying to keep that high going because it was the only good thing I had.
At 27, Cormach Evans has a lot going on. He's a competitive surfer, he's a full-time health worker, and on top of that, Cormac is attempting to paddle along the Wathaurong coastline of Victoria to raise money and awareness for Indigenous men's health. It's almost 200 kilometres. Much of it is in open ocean, but the journey to get to the starting line has been much longer.
So I learned to surf when I was 3 years old on a esky lid. It was one of those really old school esky lids. From that moment, I think I just got hooked and, just never stopped. I started competing when I was 15. For me, it's about the sense of freedom, but also all the different things that come together to make that wave break. And that wave's never going to break the same again. My dad was stolen generation. Still to this day, we've got this loss of identity, I guess, and loss of culture and loss of a lot of things. You get bullied at school, you get called names, Abbo or Coon or, petrol sniffer. Growing up, we had it pretty rough, but we'd always have food on the table and Mum was the rock, I guess, the best way to describe it. And still to this day, I owe her, for everything that she's done for us.
At the age of 23, things took a turn for Cormac.
I was quite depressed and had quite bad anxiety, and as an Aboriginal man, we're taught to be warriors and providers, and so I didn't really know how to deal with it. I turned to drinking a lot and taking drugs, put a big cloud over it all, so everything didn't seem as bad as what it was. It got to a point that shit hit the fan and everything came out. I used to drive home down this road and it was just trees on either side, and you contemplated swerving off and smacking into a tree. You'd sort of wake up and be like, what have I done? Because I always promised Mum that I'd never go down that path. After a while, Mum caught up on what was going on, and so I went down to a sacred spot and I sat on that cliff for ages and just sort of contemplated what the hell I was doing. I had a bit of a light bulb moment of, shit, this isn't you. Maybe it's time to get other people the help they deserve, because some people might not have that mum or dad or nana or pa to go to, But yeah, I sort of made it my mission to, from then on, just help others and give back.
Cormac started volunteering and eventually got a job for an Indigenous health service where he supports men battling similar problems.
Cormac's a close friend as a brother. He's always there when you need him. I was heavily into drugs, and then he come along and got me into culture stuff and got me back playing the didge and that. Yeah. Heaps better, you reckon? Yeah. And I think that's what my generation is doing. More of us are coming out now and talking about where we're from.
Growing up as a kid, I wasn't that proud of being Aboriginal. Now I'm proud as punch, and I just want to make sure that kids growing up know who they are and where they come from, and are as proud as anyone else is, I guess.
Cormac started organising events to promote Indigenous health, but was struggling to find funding to keep it going.
So I was pretty pissed off and trying to figure out how I could make it happen.
That is when the idea was born for the Paddle for Men's Indigenous Health.
I thought, surfing sort of saved me. I just come up with the idea of just paddling the Wathaurong coastline. Just under 200 kilometres in total. If we get easterlies, it's going to suck. I've never done long distance paddling ever. Everyone keeps talking about sharks and all that sort of stuff, but the only thing that really does scare me is the heads. I've seen boats out there being sunk. The water's moving so quickly that it just pretty much swallows the whole boat.
showing how much he's dedicated to his people, his culture and the community that surrounds him. I don't know, there's no words for it.
Mum's stoked, and I think she got a bit teary when I told her at one stage, and I was just her being, I guess, proud. Biggest thing for me is just awareness and education. There's still that big life gap of 12 to 17 years of life expectancy difference between non-Aboriginal and Aboriginal people. You know, that's more man. That's not long for him to live.